Preparing to live stream the meeting. Okay. Started stream less than 1 minute. Okay, so we're going. I'm going to switch to start recording, and Jessica and Janik, away you go.
We good?
Yeah,
Live?
we are live.
Sweet. Hello and welcome to the first of many mechanical workshops that we'll be running. Today we'll be talking about the tools essentials, presented to you by me, Janik, from the 2702 Rebels.
And me, Jessica, also from the 2702 Rebels.
The double J's, giving you the tools, the essentials. Okay, so, I talked about what the workshop is about, and it's about tools. And you might be wondering, oh, tools. What do those things do? And let me tell you, tools are designed to make a given task easier to accomplish. It makes life easy for you. Some tools are meant to accomplish more specific things. You don't want to hold down a nail with your fingers. Maybe you want to use some near-nose pliers so you don't hit yourself by accident. And quite often, tools just do things better and easier and faster and more efficiently. Make your life easy. Use a tool. So, okay. You see the benefits of a tool. Well, what things do you need to keep in mind when using it? Glad you asked. We got you covered. First of all, safety. When using a tool, be safe. Wear some safety goggles if you need to. Maybe some gloves, a welding shield. You don't know. It depends on the tool. But just be safe. As well, if you don't know how to use a tool, ask. Because it never hurts. Ask a teacher, a mentor, a student, just someone that knows. You, again, want to be safe. Okay. You're safe with the tools and everything. Before that, you should be using the tool. Again, it makes life easier, so use the tool. But using the tool, you're good. You did it. Congratulations. Now what do? You finished. So it was a big mess on the workbench. Clean up after yourself. No one likes a dirty workbench. I don't want to be that guy coming into a workbench with a bunch of wood scraps and metal scraps on the table. It's not fun. Clean up after yourself. Don't be that guy. All right. So you're thinking, wow, these are such wonderful things. They make my life easy. They require a little safety, but other than that, they look amazing. These two things, where do I get them? Well, we got you covered. The Elegoo kit comes with three screwdrivers. A hex Allen screwdriver, which we'll get to, a small Phillips screwdriver, and an even smaller Phillips screwdriver. That thing is tiny. That's a battery for scale. The battery's not included, though. Batteries are never included. Okay, sweet. So, you got those three screwdrivers you get in the Elegoo kit, but what are some other common tools you'd be using? Maybe around the house, maybe from your garage or borrowed from your dad. Well, quite often, again, screwdrivers, you'll be using those. Allen keys, which are actually called hex wrenches, but, the big brand company name is Allen keys, and everyone knows what you're talking about. As well, pliers, amazing things. And to rule above them all, a ruler, and box cutters. Wonderful things that you need to open IKEA packages with.
Alright, so the tool that you'll mainly be using to assemble your Igloo is a screwdriver. The main job of a screwdriver is to tighten and loosen screws, and there are many different types of screwdrivers. So let's go over their shapes and the different ways that you can associate your names with. The different ways you can memorize their names. So first we have a slot screwdriver, which looks like a slot, and it's named after that. Despite its simple design, there's a big disadvantage with using slot screwdrivers, and that is they are notoriously evil for their ability to slip. So that becomes a big problem because when you're screw driving, oftentimes you have to exert a certain amount of force and drive it into the screw in order to get it screwed into the material. So couple that with the fact that it slips a lot and you got a recipe for slicing your hand, or worse, your robot. Next, we have the Phillips screwdriver, which tries to improve upon that fact. Its cross shape makes it easier to exert a lot of force without slipping too much. However, you have to be careful because if you do slip, you can end up stripping the screw pretty easily. And stripping is basically what happens when you don't put your screwdriver in properly and you end up shearing off a layer of the screw and damaging the hole, which will make it more difficult to tighten or loosen screws. Phillips come in a variety of different sizes, and I should warn that you should use the right size Phillips for the right size screw. Otherwise, you'll be more likely to strip the screw, and you don't want to do that. They come in a variety of sizes, numbered from 0 to 3, 0 being the smallest, 3 being the largest, and they're also color-coded for fun. So yellow is the smallest, green is a size up from that, red is even bigger, and black is the biggest. But next we have the Robertson screwdriver, which attempts to fix both problems of slipping and stripping. It's also a Canadian invention, I should mention, and it's surprisingly mostly used in Canada, so you might not even find it in other countries, despite how amazing it is. Like the Phillips, it also comes in a variety of sizes, but unlike the Phillips, you can't get away with turning a screw with the wrong size screwdriver, even though you shouldn't anyway, so you have to use the right size Robertson to turn a Robertson screw. No cheating. And finally, we have the hex wrench, also called the Allen screwdriver, and it's a step up from the Robertson by adding more corners. And I will remind once again that you should use the correct size hex screwdriver for its corresponding screw, because it will definitely strip the screw otherwise, all those corners. So the rule for turning is turning in one direction will make the screw go into the material and tighten it, and the opposite direction will make it come out or loosen it. So then you wonder which direction will do which. So luckily we got a handy dandy rule for that. So you can take out your right hand, sorry left hand people, and make a thumbs up, then point your thumb in the direction that you want the screw to go, and it will tell you the direction you want to turn. So if you're tightening something, you want the screw to go into the material, point your thumb towards the material, or if you're loosening the other way, you want it to come out, so point your thumb away from the material, and then look at the direction that your fingers curl, and that will be a direction that you want to turn. In most cases, when you're screwing a screw into material, you can just use the general rule, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, but there are other cases where perhaps you're tightening a bolt and a nut, and you have multiple places where you can turn, so you'll want to rely on the right-hand rule. So now you might be wondering, how tight is too tight, or just tight enough? So this is actually a very important question because the fastening of a screw to a material is actually created by the last quarter turn, sorry. And what do I mean by that? Basically, fastening is created by the friction or the surface tension between the surfaces that hold the pieces together, so the bottom of the screw head and the material. And that's why it gets really easy to turn at the beginning, and then suddenly it gets very hard once those two surfaces come in contact, and then you experience that friction. So how can you tell if it's tight enough? There's no easy way to explain it. You just kind of have to get a feel for it. You have to look at how much resistance you feel when you're turning it. And you can really rely on your instinct if it tells you if you screw any more, you're going to end up breaking the screw or the screwdriver itself. So really just follow your instincts and trust that. But another important factor is the material. The material can determine how tight you want to turn your screwdriver into the material. So for example, we have metal, and usually you can kind of go all out on that as tight as humanly possible, except with those smaller baby screws, you want to be nice to those ones, so don't do it too harsh. There's also wood, which maybe an extra half of a turn is for good measure after you feel that resistance occurring. And for 3D printed parts, which are not as strong, you might want to do just a quarter of a turn. But honestly, it's not an exact science. You really should just rely on your feel for it and your instinct to tell you whether or not it's good. And for the igloo, you might want to prioritize tightening it less tightly versus too tight, because if it's not tight enough, you can always tighten it later, but if you tighten it too much, you might damage the material, causing it to crack or even strip the fastener. And you can see in these images below that we have an example of a screwdriver whose threads have been severely damaged. And then on the other side, we have a bunch of screws whose holes have been completely destroyed. That last one, I don't even know what kind of screw it was to begin with.
Sad screws. But you know what isn't sad? Allen keys. Well, actually, named hex wrenches, Allen keys being a trademark name from a company. They've been around since the 1800s, so they must be good. They use 6 points of contact, so they have a good grip on the fastener and are difficult to strip. But don't test that. They can fit into small places and they're quite compact. They come in an L shape, so if you want to use the long side, you can. If you want to use the short side, it gives you more leverage, but a little less space to work with. The amazing thing about them is when you buy them, they come in a big pack. There's lots of them, different sizes. They all sizes for all you can use. And you know, if you look closely at the two left images, you might notice that they have a ball end. You know, that looks cool and all, but what does it do? Well, the ball is shaped like a hexagon, so you can stick it into a fastener socket and just spin it like a spoon in a soup. Just stir it. Lefty loosey, righty tighty, and it just gives you a lot more maneuver leverage space when working in tight spaces. So, quite useful. They fit it well, and they don't strip as easily. Now, we got the pliers. The pliers are wonderful things. They provide a strong grip on objects, so if you need to hold something tightly, pliers are the way to go. That said, don't try to avoid using them on bolts and screws because that could strip the fastener. But besides that, you know, if you need something to be a little more precise, there are different types of pliers, all for different uses. If you want to be precise, there's neonas, and if you want to be very grippy, those vice grips and channel locks. Some pliers provide even a side cutter to cut wires with, though you should probably use wire cutters for that. But you know, it's there if you need it. Take advantage of your money, buy some. Some pliers also provide an angled grip. As you can see, standard neo-nose pliers, there's one pivot point, so they provide an angled grip, whereas channel locks at the left image, top left image, they provide a parallel grip, which is more useful for bolts because the sides on the bolt are parallel. So if you're going to use them on a bolt, use those, but again, avoid that because it can damage the screw. Some pliers, as I mentioned, are designed to be more precise. So neo-nose, if you want to get that one little wire in an electrical box deep into the electrical box and plug it in without damaging anything, and you just need to be very precise, neo-nose. Use those very precise things. And again, pliers provide a strong grip, so don't go pulling your teeth out, don't go pinching your fingers. They are aggressive things. They will damage you and any part of the robot if you do not use them correctly.
So now, I know you guys all think you know how to use a ruler, and to be honest, you probably do, but I'm going to offer you a few extra tips, free of charge, on how to use a ruler. So, a ruler is used to make measurements. I know, shocking. But maybe you don't know that for precision measurements, you might want to start at the 1 centimeter mark. So, why do we do that? Because sometimes when they're manufacturing rulers, the manufacturers might make it like slightly too short or maybe slightly too long. And so we really can't rely on the ends of the ruler to be accurate markers of our measurements. And that's why we always line up our piece at the 1 centimeter mark for precision. And then, of course, afterwards, don't forget to subtract a centimeter from the value that your piece ends up aligning with for your final measurement. I've definitely made that mistake several times. One side of the ruler is for inches, and the other side is for centimeters. Don't mess it up. Otherwise, the consequences are very grave, and they may include crashing a Mars orbiter that cost $125 million, or running out of fuel for your Boeing 767 mid-flight. By the way, the crew actually thought they had twice as much fuel as they needed, and they ended up landing on a Canadian military base. Luckily, no one was killed. But that might not be the case for you, so don't mess up the units. And then finally, when making a measurement, or when making measurements for usually when you're trying to figure out the positions of holes, which don't get any funny ideas, you're not allowed to drill any holes in the Igloo chassis, put the drill away. But if you are drilling holes and you want to measure the positions of your holes, it's better to measure them starting from one side. And the reason for that is because you can minimize error. If you measure your position from one position, even if you mess up with the measurement of the piece itself, or you don't line up at the ruler properly, at least you can guarantee that the separation between each of the holes is the same. But you can't guarantee that if you measure your holes from different sides and you have that problem. So it's basically just a matter of reducing error. Now we have box cutters, also called utility knife, and they're mainly used for opening boxes. But they can also be used to cut plastic string, and for FRC purposes, we use them a lot to cut our pneumatic tubing. So here are a few safety tips when you're using a box cutter. Always cut away from your body. What do I mean by that? And you can see from the last picture that there's a man and he's cutting a piece of something. And in the first one, he's cutting directly towards himself, which is bad because what if his hand slips and the knife's gonna go directly into him? That's a big ouchie. So the better way is to turn the material a little bit so that when you're cutting it, if you slip, you don't slip into your thigh. Next, don't rest your thumb on the blade for leverage. Some people do it. Don't. It's dangerous. Use a sharp blade, and the reason for this is because dull blades often catch onto material. So once again, you don't want to slip and you don't want to lose control of your blade and get it stuck into your side. That's no good. So use a sharp blade. Keep it sharp. Next, only expose enough blade to actually cut the material. This isn't a sword. You don't need the full length of the blade. So you can see in the second picture, this guy has the minimum amount of blade pulled out in order to cut his material. And you won't really want to have more blade out because that can be harder to cut in the first place. It can put more tension on the blade itself, cause twisting, and you might even end up breaking the blade, which is sad on your part because then you are guilty and you must pay for a blade. Or not. Maybe you'll just get guilty. Maybe you'll just have to do push-ups. That's what our team does. And when you're cutting thicker materials, it's better, it's safer to just do multiple passes. So do one pass and make a little indent in the material, then do another, and then just keep going until you can cut the material. And finally, when you're done with the blade, please retract it when you're not using it, so that the other person, when they're taking the blade, they don't end up cutting their hand. And by the way, since most of us are building igloos by ourselves, there is possibly a 100% chance that the next person picking up that box cutter is you. So don't shoot yourself in the foot. Don't stab yourself with a box cutter.
Well, that was fun all listening to us talk for too long. But now let's have a fun game of Kahoot. For those that don't know, Kahoot is a fun little trivia game where you guys all compete against each other live. So just get back and stream.
Yay. Yep.
And just stop.
I gotta stop.
You gotta stop. Thank you. Well. Let's play a game of Kahoot. Go to playkahoot.it and put in this fancy little code and join our game.
For those of you watching on YouTube, this may not work the way you want it to, since
You might have a delay.
Yeah. So that's why you want to join the premium gang. Join in on the actual Zoom call.
VIP.
VIP privileges. You get to play Kahoots with us. Win prizes. The prize is voting rights.
Wayne is in the fastest.
Ooh. You know what we could do? We could do a Quizlet.
A Quizlet.
A Quizlet, because then
We
it's
could do a Quizlet next time.
on their screen. Would you guys like a Quizlet? Comment below.
Comment below.
Give us a like if you want a Quizlet.
Six, 9, 6, 2. I think I'll give it another 2 minutes for everybody to join.
But even though you can't win prizes, you can still play along. The possible answers will be on the screen and the question will be there, and then you can answer in your head what you think the answer is.
And then if you win, you can feel accomplished.
Yeah, but no one will know. Just you.
60 more seconds.
Isn't there music?
There is. Could you not hear it?
Yeah.
Show sound. There you go.
Now we got the atmosphere.
Yeah, let's go.
If there's only 5 of us, we'll all be on the leaderboard. That'll be great.
Everyone's a winner. Let's begin.
Yep. What screwdriver would you use?
I myself would not use a screwdriver. I would avoid building the robot. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I would just pull it out with pliers.
I would use hot glue. Oh, I got it. I got it wrong. Nice.
Yay. The Robertson screwdriver is a Canadian invention.
It's a good screwdriver, so it must be Canadian. I think I got that right. Nice.
To be precise, measure from the edge of...
That's okay. You'll get it next time. Terry's on fire.
Ouch, put him out.
Put him out. Put him out.
What tool is this?
I think tweezers would have been a reasonable answer, but I guess
Everyone's
not.
fact checking you. It's like, it's actually a hex wrench.
Yeah.
Which way should you cut?
I think those that still have the appendix should aim towards the bottom left and just, if they miss, they get a free appendix cut out.
You get both. It's
You get both.
a 50-50 chance,
50-50.
I guess.
Wayne takes the lead.
Lefty tighty, righty loosey.
Sounds about right to me.
I must say, the man in the picture has terrible screwdriver etiquette. Look at that angle he's going at.
That's also not the nicest piece of wood.
Mm.
You must be building a fence outside or something.
Yeah, he's building the fence and then putting it up.
Ah, interesting.
Why are Allen keys nice?
Well, they're kind to me. They give me chocolate on Valentine's Day.
They ask me how I'm doing.
They
They
ask me
call
how-
regularly.
Oh, well, nice people, you know?
Nice family, those Allen keys.
Yeah. Hey,
It was all of them.
it was all of them. I am no longer last. So proud.
What are pliers used for?
I think I showed how to apply them.
They're for clipping nails.
So
If you're a giant.
if you're a giant, even if you're a giant, I feel like the pliers would be kind of too small. Because like you can only use the side cutters, the
Yeah.
side cutting piece, and that's kind of just awkward because you got a big pile and you can only use the one side. I feel like scissors would be more efficient. So go ahead.
Those screwdriver zombies, look at them.
I think you can buy these at Dairy Queen, like a sundae. They melt.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I'll flip it over so that it sticks together.
Yep. Oh, this
And
one's
should we
picky.
do on wood?
You know,
In
as
person.
as a kid, I would definitely keep drilling into the wood until
Yeah.
until my drill would stop. But oh well. Third place Terry, second place Wayne, and whopping 10,649 points JJ. Congratulations.
He was close behind.
It has been a tight game. But congratulations, you have raised above everyone.
The
Rise
winner
above
is all
everyone.
of us.
Yes.
Everyone except for those at home who did not join the call.
Would recommend. Very fun.
Yeah.
Well, now, any questions?
At all. About anything.
The weather's outside nice.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that there was no questions is a good thing, meaning everyone is a-okay with what the slideshow said.
That's good. We were covering the
Everyone-
essentials.
Yeah.
Oh, next time we're gonna raise the bar. You're gonna have questions. Believe me.
We will?
Maybe.
Maybe.
But at least you'll be challenged. With the tools intermediate